And again, it's no Darryn Peterson, no problem for the Kansas Jayhawks. And you know what Kansas showed the entire nation tonight? That team is built with some dogs, bruh. And let's look at the dog stats. Three things in particular we want to look at. First thing, second chance points. Kansas outscored Arizona in second chance points 19-16, and that is the most ultimate dog statistic, especially when you look at Kansas being undersized and lack of depth compared to what Arizona has in the interior. And they only lost the rebounding battle by 4. And if you look at Arizona, not only have they been one of the best second chance points and rebounding margins in the Big 12, but also the entire country. And it's just big ups to Bidunga and Tiller, as well as Council, who poured in 6 rebounds himself to show that fight, grit, and toughness. Second thing, is that Melvin Council or Devontae Graham out there playing basketball? Now, I know it's not the exact same, but the thing here is that Council played 40 minutes, and those who have watched a ton of Kansas basketball dating back years remember Devontae Graham constantly playing 38, 39, 40 minutes, no matter the situation. And during the live stream when we were on TikTok, it was crazy because Council just kept driving at 3 to 4 players. And he maybe did it 10 times and 8 times it didn't work out good. But one time he got fouled, one time he got Bidunga on the lob, and he just decided to keep playing the numbers. I'm shaking my head as someone watching it. Why are you driving at 4 people when you don't have the numbers? But Council, again, is just an absolute dog. Puts his head down. He's not the most efficient. We understand that. But tonight, along with the points, he poured in 6 rebounds and 6 assists. He just has the ultimate will to compete and be a dog. He's been like that since he was at Wagner. I remember watching the NC State game earlier this year when Darryn Peterson went out again and Council completely willed that team to a victory. Love watching that dude play. And then the last thing, the second half run that Kansas did. The game was close at half. Arizona comes out, and by the 17-minute mark in the second half, that lead had been pushed up to 11. From that point on, though, Kansas flipped the switch and would outscore Arizona by 15 points, 38-23 to win that game. And look, I've been watching this Kansas team all year since the first week when they played my Tar Heels. And the truth is, this Kansas team now versus what that Kansas team was those first couple weeks of the season is totally night and day. And my goodness, they are 10 times scarier now than what we've seen over the course of the year. I think the style of play has changed. These guys have bought into the coach, the program, and what it actually means to play at Kansas and in front of those fans at Allen Fieldhouse. And Self makes it 39-0 now, I believe, on Big Mondays at the Phog. It is the toughest place to go win a basketball game. Even when some people, I think, thought this Kansas team might struggle like they have over the past couple of seasons, this Kansas team is so much fun. And if I'm a Kansas fan, which I don't hate Kansas, but if I'm a Kansas fan, I'm absolutely thrilled with what I'm seeing at this point. And again, to bring up the live stream, so many people like, is Darryn Peterson playing? Is Darryn Peterson playing? And when they found out he wasn't, everybody was like, oh, Arizona's just going to mop the floor with Kansas tonight. But the truth is, Kansas has shown that they can play without him. And honestly, they look comfortable playing without Darryn Peterson on the court. Now, does this mean Kansas is better without DP? I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but the truth is that's a team that's bought in together, playing for each other, and adding Darryn Peterson when he does play is just another element of a threat. But this KU group has shown that even without him, they can still compete and beat the best teams in the country. And I don't know how many programs or coaches that would be able to pick up the caliber wins or play the way that they have played without someone who is clearly a top 3 pick in the NBA draft, clearly one of the best college basketball players when he's playing that we've seen in a few years. And some of the performances without Peterson, Tennessee, that they won that game, obviously Arizona tonight, and even the UConn game, which was a 5-point loss, all 3 games without Darryn Peterson, 2 wins and 1 really, really tough matchup. This KU group has got it. They have the fight, they have the energy, they have the passion, and you've got to love it if you're a fan of college basketball. And the dog mentality is not just the players, it's the coaches, it's the staff, it's the fans, it's everybody bought in and doing this the right way and not making excuses. Since we've started this channel, every time someone's team loses, it's excuse this, excuse that. That didn't happen. We didn't have this player. We didn't have that player. Yada, 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 yada. It gets so annoying. This whole Kansas fan base, at least the ones that I've interacted with, this Kansas program, the coaching staff, is just not making excuses. No matter the situation, they're going out and competing for a full 40 minutes. And they've got maybe one of the biggest wins so far this season across any college basketball program. I'd given that to Arizona by going to UConn and winning that game in a true road event, but now taking down who has been really the consensus #1 team in the country all season long, at least in my books, beating them without a player who is going to be top 3 in the NBA draft, beating them undersized, a little bit undermanned. You're at home, you're at the Phog. It just didn't matter. Kansas made no excuses and won that basketball game. It's next man up mentality. We're going to win with who we got. And that brings me to the final point, though, with Darryn Peterson. I don't really know what to make of the DP situation as it stands. And if I'm someone who can play devil's advocate as an outsider looking in, someone who's dealt with high level talent from guys that have either gone to the NBA or been high level college players, or even when they were in high school in EYBL, a lot of these guys have these camps that are really navigating and telling them what they should and shouldn't do. Here's what I genuinely think. His camp is telling him one thing. Him as a basketball player wants to be out there. You can't make both people happy, right? You can't make the university, the fans happy by playing and then also make your camp happy by, because the camp is only going to be worried about you getting to the NBA and being the highest draft pick and being healthy and getting that NBA contract. And truthfully, I think after the BYU game, he had kind of solidified himself as being the number one pick. At worst, he would be too, with him and AJ, if someone looks at these injury situations as I don't want to take a swing on him, or maybe the Jazz get the number one pick, they take AJ to Boston instead of Darryn Peterson, and he goes number two. But regardless, and a lot of Kansas fans were upset with what happened in the second half of that game, and it was weird nonetheless. But then he follows that up by going to Texas Tech, playing 35 minutes and knocking down two major shots at the end to help Kansas get that win. So I think there is some sort of conflict with DP about what's going on with his camp, with his family, with his advisors, versus what he's also wanting to do. And truth be told, in this NIL era, if you're being paid to play a sport and give it your best, then I think you need to be. And truth is, we don't understand Darryn's situation. Maybe he did have the flu last night and really couldn't go. I've heard a couple different things from some KU reporters that it was a decision saying if he couldn't go at all, then don't dress out. And I don't know what's true, what's not true. Either he is not getting a break at all by getting hurt, hamstring, ankle, then catching the flu, anything like that, and he's just one of the unluckiest kids we've seen in college basketball so far, or there is a decision of saying, if I'm not 100%, I'm not going. I don't really know what it is, Kansas fans. You guys let me know what you think about the situation, how you feel about it. He's an immense talent. It's so fun to watch him when he is out there. The efficiency at times has been through the roof. And this Kansas team probably would be a favorite to win the national championship with how the rest of that group has been built around him if he's playing a full, healthy 30-plus minutes when you get to March. But this Kansas team might be a Final Four contender anyways, without it. And if they could play every game at the Phog, I honestly would take Kansas to win the national championship. They don't get that luxury, but they're still going to be a really tough out in March. But again, guys, please hit like to see the basketball. Hit subscribe to enter your name in the portal. We will see you guys on the next one. And please answer all those questions. Get your comments in. We'll read, respond, all that good stuff. See you guys on the next one.